Another way we can solve our polynomials is using long division. Okay, so the topic is just reviewing long division. Remember, we put the dividend inside the little symbol, division symbol, and then the divisor, that second number, outside. Yes, you can do this with a calculator, but again, we do not want decimal numbers. We want everything just simplified. So this is the point of long division is you might get a remainder, and we want to know what that remainder is. We don't want it to be 10.853. Okay, if you put it in a calculator, it's going to give you that. So remember, we're trying to find what multiplies by this that goes into this. What's the biggest number? What's the biggest factor that does that? For this one, it is 6. Remember, we write that 6 on top, and we write it right above that ones column because it is in the ones place, because it's just a 6. And then we take 6 times 12, which is 72, and we write that down below our dividend. And then we take the opposite of it, we subtract. Why don't we go ahead and put that in parentheses, and then we take the opposite of it. So it was positive, now we're going to make it minus. Excuse me. So then we're going to have 72 minus 72, and that gives us 0. So there was no remainder on this one. Let's look at this one. 254, dividend goes inside, divisor outside. And remember, we're looking at this number first. Is there anything that multiplies by 3 to get you to? No. So then you move on to 25. What's the greatest factor that would give you something that would go into 25? That is 8. And then we take 8 times 3, and that's 24. And we write it underneath here. We're going to write it in parentheses. And then we're going to take the opposite of that. So then we're going to have 25 minus 24, because that 24 was positive when we multiplied. And we're left with a 1. And then remember, we bring down that last number to give us 14, and we do the same process again. What can be multiplied by 3 to go into 14? That is 4. And then we say 3 times 4, or 4 times 3, and that gives us 12. And then we are taking the opposite of it. So we're going to say 14 minus 12, that gives us 2. So remember, since there's no more numbers up here, now we're done. This is just like our circle our remainder. And then we're going to write the quotient, 84, with the remainder over the dividend. Okay? And I don't know if you guys remember, but we have in past classes done this with variables. So same thing, 8x squared underneath divided by 2. So what goes into this? That's going to be 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. Oh, I think this was supposed to have an x here. I should have done this opposite. I should have done the numbers first. Anyways, x times x is x squared. So we can still, we would still take the opposite. 8x squared minus 8x squared is 0. There's no remainder. So the point of this one is to show you that you can you can divide out ones with variables All right. Some steps for our dividing out our big long polynomials. And we're going to make sure we put them in standard form. All terms must be included. So this is just like our synthetic division. So if there's a missing variable, remember they have to go down in order. So 3, 2, 1. If we're missing one, we need to write a 0 with our missing variable. So it would look something like 0x squared. And then we're going to place each term directly above its counterpart in the dividend. So just like we did up here, we're going to do down there. And then we're going to repeat this process of divide, multiply, and subtract until we get to the end. So let's do an example. So all that will make a little bit better sense. So we've got x cubed plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 2 divided by x minus 2. All right, so we're going to put that dividend, oops, that's a 3, plus 5x squared minus 7x plus 2 underneath our division symbol and the whole divisor, x minus 2, outside. Okay, so here's what I like to do. And let me grab another piece of paper, just because I don't have enough room. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with this first term, and we're going to be dividing it by this first term. We're not going to do anything with the -2 right this minute. So what I like to do separately is take that first term of x cubed and put it over the x. So then I have x cubed divided by x. And I know that this really means x times x up top and 1x on bottom. And remember, that means that this crosses out with this, and I'm left with these two x's, which is x squared. Okay, so our first term of our quotient is going to be x squared. So I'm going to put that over the term with the x squared here, x squared. Okay. And then I'm going to take x squared times x, which is x to the third. And I'm going to take x squared minus 2, and that's -2x squared. So I'm going to put that right underneath the x squared. 2x squared. Okay. And then I'm going to put this in parentheses. And now we're going to take the opposite of both of those. So that means that this positive x to the third becomes a negative. This minus becomes a plus. So then we have x to the third minus x to the third. That cancels out. So there's no more x to the thirds. At 5x squared plus 2x squared, now we have 7x squared. I'm going to pull down everything else, and I'm going to start the process over. Now I'm going to take this 7x squared and divide it by the x. So I know I've got 1x cancels out, and I'm going to be left with 7x. So up here I've got positive 7x. I'm going to multiply, and again I'm put it above the one with the x. 7x times x gives me 7x squared. 7x times -2 gives me -14x. Okay. And put it in parentheses. And then I'm going to take the opposite of both of those. So I'm going to have 7x squared minus now, I'm applying this opposite, so then those cancel out. I'm applying this opposite, so now we've got negative 7x plus 14x, and I'm left with 7x, and pull down my positive 2. I keep going. So I've got 7x divided by x. The x's cross out, so I'm just left with 7. So this is plus 7, and I multiply 7 by x, that's 7x. 7 times negative 2, that's minus 14. I'm going to do the opposite of both. So I'm going to have 7x minus 7x. Let's cross out. That was the whole goal. And I'm going to have 2 plus 14, and that's 16. Circle our remainder. So our answer, which color do I want? It's going to be x squared plus 7x plus 7 plus 16 over x minus 2. Okay, so what did we do? We took the first term, divided it by the first term, and we get a term that is the exponent is 1 less than the dividend, so we're going to put it over. Make sure you're matching up your exponents in terms here. Okay, so after I found what divided, then I multiply by each term, take the opposite to get the next, and I just keep going and going and going. All right, let's look at another example. We've got x to the third. Remember, we have to have all of our values, so this one's missing an x squared. So we're going to have to put in plus 0x squared minus 17x plus 32 divided by x plus 5. I'm going to take this first term, divide it by this first term. X to the third divided by x. An easy way of doing these exponents is I know I'm going to be left with an x. I can take the exponent number on top minus the exponent number on bottom, and that's what I'm going to have as an exponent remaining. So x squared. So remember, I'm putting that over my x squared. Okay. Then I'm taking x squared times x, which is x to the third. X squared times positive 5x plus 5x squared. I'm going to put in parentheses, take the opposite. So x to the third minus x to the third, that crosses out. That's our whole goal. We got 0x squared. I'm applying that opposite, so it's going to be minus, so we're left with negative x squared. And pull down negative 17x plus 32. All right. We've got negative 5x squared divided by x. We're going to be left with negative 5. 2 minus 1, we're going to have 1x. So this is going to be minus 5x. So minus 5x times x is negative 5x squared. Minus 5x times positive 5 is minus 25x. Put that in parentheses. We're going to take the opposite signs. So this minus becomes a positive, then those cross out. This minus makes this a positive, so we've got negative 17x plus 25x leaves us with 8x, and I'm going to pull down my 32. We've got 8x divided by x, that's x, positive x, positive 8. So 8 times x is 8x, 8 times 5 is positive 40. Taking the opposite. So we got 8x minus 8x. Those cross out. 32 minus 40 leaves me with negative 8. So this is my remainder that I'm carrying up to my answer. I'm going to have that, minus 8 over x plus 5. And then this is our answer. X squared minus 5, x plus 8 minus 8x over 5. All right, let me know if you have any questions on our long division.